After a devastating loss to the Edmonton Oilers in Game 6, things continue to get worse for the Vancouver Canucks with Brock Boeser going out with an injury. We're going to break down this injury, who might be the next man up in this lineup, and why the Canucks have an edge going into Game 7. We'll break all this down later on in this episode. Before we start, I just want to say shout out to the 1,950 people. I know I say this every episode, but we are trying to hit 2,000 before the game tomorrow night. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be all season long giving you updates from around the Canucks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Brock Boeser out. Now, we did get a tweet today saying Brock Boeser will not be available for the Canucks in Game 7 on Monday. If they advance, his status moving forward is unclear. First off, this is just terrible news, and no one was happy, and things do get a little worse. Elliot Friedman did say that he is out due to blood clotting issue. The exact timeline for his return is unknown, but several sources stress that thankfully this is not a life-threatening situation. It is a big loss for the Canucks as Boeser has been having an excellent season, leading Vancouver with 7 goals and 12 points in 12 playoff games. And just Griffin, what's your thoughts on getting this news today going into Game 7?
It's a big blow for Vancouver. Obviously, Boeser has been the top goal scorer for Vancouver this postseason, and he's having a career year. And it's definitely a big blow when you have one of your core 4 guys go out like that. It's all about next man up for Vancouver at this point. They can't dwell on it too much because there's nothing they can do about it. All they can do is be happy that it's not life-threatening, that he will be okay in the long run. It's just a matter of when he will be back on the ice again. That isn't as much a concern right now. Right now, as a concern is his health, and now it's going up to that next game and seeing who will step up in his place and who will be the hero. Will we see a new hero? That would be amazing to see. But again, it's a big blow for this Canucks team going into a critical Game 7 against a division rival like the Oilers, especially when you want to see your top goal scorer on the ice. It does suck, but we will have to be able to push forward with the next man up.
Yeah, the first thing is we are hoping that everything works out for Boeser. Obviously, this is something that is scary. It is not life-threatening, which is the main thing. This is a game of hockey, but lives are worth more than the sport itself. So we do hope he gets better soon. But like you said, he's having a career year. In 81 games this year, he had 40 goals, 33 assists for 73 points. We've seen his heroics just going through the playoffs, scoring the hat trick against Nashville, helping the Canucks advance. He's tied for the point leader for the Canucks in the playoffs with 12. He has the most goals with 7. So losing this guy, like you said, is going to be rough. But someone is going to have to step up. You can't dwell on this. You can't write the season off. This is a Canucks team that has been going through so many injuries. We've seen Casey Smith go down. We've seen Demko go down. We're seeing Brock Boeser go down. There's multiple people dealing with injuries in this lineup from both teams in reality. But the Canucks are losing some very top-end talent. And it does get into the second topic of who is the next up. Now, when you do look at Daily Faceoff, they did kind of put out what they're projecting for the game. Obviously, Suter, Miller, Garland, Höglander, Lindholm, Pettersson, Joshua, Blueger, Lafferty, PDG, Amon, and Podkolzin. And Griffin, what's just your thoughts on this lineup, and who would you like to see get in for Boeser?
I think it's definitely going to be a move up. I don't entirely love the move of moving Garland up off the line with Joshua. We've seen that they've been like the Batman Robin of this team, like we've said many times. It is going to be a bit concerning if that's the line they're going with. However, I do like Lindholm with Höglander and Pettersson. I think that would be something that Lindholm playing with Petey would be something that would get Petey going, especially with Höglander coming off of a goal last game. Moving down to that Joshua line will help beef up the Blueger and Lafferty line with having 2 guys like Blueger and Lafferty that are a bit smaller than a big body guy like Joshua. That'll be nice. But again, I don't entirely love the idea of breaking up Garland and Joshua. But I do think Joshua playing with Miller will give him more of a chance to succeed on his own as well. I think Miller will be a fine step in for Joshua as far as just getting him the passes he needs or setting each other up, because you have a decently big body like Miller with the speed of Garland, and then you have the skill of Suter that we've seen him come up clutch in these elimination games. He was absent last game pretty much, but this game I think he does step up with that new line. And again, we saw that last line, the last game lines didn't really work very well. We saw that nobody was able to get shots on net really, but I think with these new lines it'll be interesting to see how it works out. Jonathan Lekkerimäki is someone I would like to see get in there. I would think if they pull a surprise move like that, it would be pretty nice because we've been wanting to see him in a Canucks uniform so much this postseason, in this season, in next season as well. But I think him being in there, even if he's just on the power play, would give them the spark that they need because he has been efficient on the power play in the international stage. And people say if you put him on the power play, good things are going to happen. I think that's what Vancouver definitely needs right now on a dead power play right now.
Yeah, the big thing with Jonathan Lekkerimäki as well is this guy would help this power play just tremendously. We see the team struggling on the power play. Obviously, Pettersson hasn't been up to his game fully. Boeser is now out of the lineup. So with that struggling, it's hard to figure out just where you put people into this lineup. This, like I said, this is daily faceoffs, what they have their projected going into Game 7. This may change as we do get a tweet from Jeff Patterson saying, not a full Canucks practice, but these lines have been skating together today. Podkolzin, PD, Mikheyev, Bluger, Lindholm, Garland, PDG, Bluger, Amon, Hoglander, Suter, and Lafferty. And like you were saying, it's going to be quite hard. And who do you want to see the most? I know Jonathan Lekkerimäki, but out of this lineup, who do you think is going to step up the most for this team?
I think it will be definitely a mixture between Pettersson because we have been seeing him improve a bit more each game. I know last game he did take a bit of a step back, but he still was able to get a point on the board and more shots on net than most players were. I think it gives Mikheyev an opportunity to step up as well. He has been absent this whole postseason, where during the regular season he was showing flashes of promise here and there. I think it will be interesting to see how PDG follows up a good last home game where he did get a nice nifty goal. I think JT Miller is going to have a fire up under his butt as well because he takes these losses very personally. He takes them all on himself. He takes full accountability for them. So I think him and Quinn Hughes being the leaders that they are really going to help push this team through for a victory. But again, it's going to be how these leaders match up with the skill guys. These skill guys have to rise to that occasion because the leaders, they might have the drive to win, but those skill guys will be the ones getting the pucks in the net when the leaders are locked down by those bigger targets on Edmonton.
Yeah, it's going to take a full team effort. And the biggest thing with this is if they do advance past Game 7, they're going to take on the Dallas Stars, which is going to be a hard team to play as well. And when you do look at the stats, the Canucks do have the edge going into Game 7. I know a lot of people don't like looking at stats, numbers, events, whatever you want to call it. But a Game 7 trends with just any team going to Game 7. The team that scores first is 148 and 48. In all 196 all-time Game 7s, you have home teams own 115 to 81 record. You see 101 of the 196 all-time Game 7 and Stanley Cup playoffs have been decided by 1 goal margin, so this is going to be probably yet again another close game, closer than it was last game last night. And you see 49 games and Stanley Cup players have been required by overtime. This is actually the first game the Canucks are hosting in a Game 7 since 2011, when we're not going to really talk about what that outcome was. Hopefully everything does change. And just what your thoughts on what do you think the final score is going to be going into this game, Griffin?
I'm hoping it's a tightly knit score because Vancouver's had a hard time getting the offense going. So for that offense sake, I hope it's a low scoring game and I hope that they're able to exploit Skinner's weaknesses and get whatever shots on net they can get as big grade A chances. And with that, I don't think Shelovs will have too much to worry about as long as they can lock down Edmonton defensively like they did in Game 5. We saw them do a great job of bringing pressure on the big guys like Draisaitl and McDavid where they couldn't do too much with the puck. Now they have a problem in Zach Hyman to deal with because he was a big issue last game. So they're going to have a lot to handle, especially with Boeser being out. But again, it's next man up mentality. It is the playoffs. Vancouver does have the edge. They've been scoring first a lot this season. They led the league in scoring first. That is huge for winning games. They haven't been able to do that too much in this series. But being out on home ice with the energy in that crowd, they don't want a repeat of 2011. They've been saying it a lot since last night. We've been talking about it. We do not want to dress the elephant in the room that was 2011. However, it is something that we do have to push through. If we can get through that, we can get the monkey off our back in that sense and rid us of that curse. But then it'll be on to moving on to Dallas, like you said, who is a very terrifying team. They're going to have the same amount of depth that Vancouver has along with the speed that Edmonton has. So they're going to be a really tough hybrid team to deal with. However, Vancouver's had the grit and the heart and the resilience all season long. I think they're going to bring that on Game 7 on home ice in Rogers Arena, and it's going to be electric.
Yeah, the fans are going to really have to step up. They've been incredible this entire playoffs, but that barn has to be rocking tomorrow night. Let the players build off it. Let them do everything they can, and hopefully we make it to round 3. But what your guys' thoughts on everything we talked about? What's your thoughts on Boeser being out? Who do you want to see jump up in this lineup? Is it maybe a guy like Jonathan Lekermacki? Or do you want to see Podkolzin just kind of get raised up in the lineup? Let us know down in the comments. And speaking about comments, we'll get into everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. And the comment today comes from Mr. X, and he says, great video. We enjoy these comments so much. I know I've been trying to go through and answer as many comments as I can. There's a lot of comments sometimes with the time difference as well. It's usually 3 or 4 in the morning when I'm trying to answer them and trying to get bed at the same time. But if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go down and leave a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. We had a lot of people let us know last episode, and it was just awesome to see people from Thailand, just all the way to somewhere in BC. It's awesome to see everyone. So let us know down in the comments. You could be featured on the next episode. But I've been your host, Mark, and my co-host, Griffin. Take care.